Hey everybody, it is another episode of the PetaPixel Podcast. It's Jordan Drake here, and we're all in the same room. So just over to my left here, I got Jaron Schneider. How you doing, Jaron?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
And even further left, it's Chris Nichols.
Yes, the leftist, Chris Nichols.
And not only are we all together this week, but we're mixing things up a little bit different because we're in Tokyo.
Yes.
We're here with Fuji.
Yes. Look at all the Fuji cameras behind us, Fujifilm, a whole museum.
And the two in front of me, please.
Yeah,
please
well,
look
I
at my
wanted
cameras.
to point this out. You have your TX1 here. You got your X100 6 Limited. What do the kids call this? Is this aura farming or something? What is this? I don't know what you young people say.
I refuse to answer that question because to answer that question would make me feel old.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
But this is cool. I mean, we are here to do a very interesting project with Fujifilm in the area. And also, of course, we get to podcast out of the offices, which is really neat. We have never seen the Fujifilm offices. And we have a special guest on the podcast, actually.
Yeah, Yuji-san is going to be joining us here a little bit later. But also, last week was crazy. We have some follow-up news from last week. Some other stuff has happened as well. So we're going to get to things pretty quickly. But before we get started, I always like to kick things off with a question. Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, there is a giant wall of cameras behind us. Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific memories with any of the models back there? Any experiences, anytime you were surprised by one, or when you were looking back there, just be like, oh man, I totally didn't remember that something happened there. Jaron's off, he's investigating.
I kind of didn't know that Fujifilm made binoculars, but I mean that's about it. No, I mean, and the TLR is crazy. The Fujica Flex is crazy, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, specific experiences. A lot of our customers at the camera store bring in all of their medium format Fujifilm cameras, which was always jealousy inducing. On
medium format, I've never seen a 645 AF in person before, so that's pretty cool. I'm sorry. I forgot who I was talking to.
I mean, I'm Chris Nichols. I've seen them all, but I've never owned them. Never owned a Fujica, SLR, but beautiful little cameras. Yeah.
So over in this corner over here, you can't see it. It's off camera, but there's a small cubby full of FinePix cameras. And if you've listened to this podcast before, you may remember that I said that my first digital camera that I ever had was a point and shoot that my mom bought, and then I sort of just like absorbed because she wasn't using it as much. And it was a Fujifilm FinePix. And that camera came with me to Japan for the first time in my life when I was 15 years
Kagoshima.
old. Yeah, so I took lots of pictures on that camera. I still have that camera. It's actually I found it recently again.
I bet you the battery's toast.
The battery stayed in there. It was a AA battery, and so it corroded out the inside. So I don't think this camera works anymore, but it is a lovely memento of my past here.
Very cool.
So yes, I do actually have a memory tied to a camera that's at least of the line. I don't see the actual model over here, but
you just wanted to see that FinePix badge because we don't see it very much anymore. Yeah. I got to say the standout one for me is the S5 Pro. The last time I saw an S5 Pro, because we actually gave it away after we tested it, but the last time we used it, we were shooting a review and we decided to take some photos with strobes of my son, and he took his first steps into Chris Nichols' arms.
Yeah,
and that is a crushing moment.
Wait, is that real? That really happened?
That is it is on camera. You can hear me say in the sound mix, I think I'm like, no, not him, or something like that.
You stole his son's first steps?
No. Your child was standing up and wobbling, and I may have been like, oh, and he did.
So yes.
But
So anyways, no, it's profound mixed emotions looking at that back there. But some warm ones as well. Oh, look, that's the 3D camera.
Cameras don't remind me of that stuff. I just remember the joy in your baby's eyes as he walked towards me. That's all I remember. And it was a beautiful moment.
All right, really... Well, I try to process this.
Okay.
Let's have an opening animation and we'll get to the news.
new perk.
What?
New perk.
Really?
So if you are
There's already so many.
If you're a PetaPixel member, you may have realized that because we started partnering with Harper Finch, we gave everyone the same discount that we got for PetaPixel members, which was 25% off the merch store. We effectively do that for everyone now because it was just easier to do it that way. And it felt wrong. Wrong, Chris.
Okay.
For me to take something away from PetaPixel members and not give it back in some way.
Oh.
I have good news. New perk. You now get 10%
Stop punching
off.
the table. Our microphones are on it, you ogre.
Well, I wanted like the effect. At any rate, if you are a PetaPixel member, you now also can get a code for 10% off Westcott lighting from the Westcott store. So now, to go over all the perks that we have, you get no ads on the website. You get access to our sample galleries where you can download JPEGs and RAWs from all of the new cameras and lenses that we test.
Oh, don't forget the Moment Store.
I'm not there yet. $25 off, $15 off. What is it?
$15 off the Moment
off
Store.
Moment Store. Sorry,
Which is more than half of your yearly membership, which is only $3 a month or $30 a year.
correct. You also get 5% off KEH, which more than covers your taxes and or shipping,
Yes.
depending on what state
Suppose you
you're
were to buy anything back there, you're going to get your membership back.
Yes.
in. What I'm missing another one. There's one more, right? Oh, well, besides the Westcott one, or is that
Westcott?
Is
Westcott final one.
10% off Westcott.
Yes.
So that is a laundry list of perks for those of you who choose to support us for a paltry $3 a month. Or $30
Wow.
a year. And that really helps us. Chris likes to say it helps us do special projects. It also helps us pay all of the wonderful people that make the stuff that we do possible.
I also want to say that Jaron doesn't tell us about these perks until right on the podcast, but I had no idea.
It was in the
You
text
didn't
chain.
tell us. Was it in the text chain?
You've got a lot going on. It was a busy week last week, in case you missed it. But if for those of you who pay attention to every second of every video we make, if you spotted the new perk at the end of the Lumix L10 video, give yourself a pat on the back.
You maniac.
Because it was there. So if you saw it, thumbs up to you.
Wow.
So thank you to those of you who are members. Right now, the Harper Finch collab that we had, that drop has ended. So you
very
can
successful.
know it was very successful. Thank you so much for those of you who purchased a shirt. The number one shirt was Bilf Hunter.
As it should be.
Please send us photos of yourself in the wild
Wearing
Bilf hunting with your
Yes.
Bilf Hunter garments.
Right now, you can still get the just plain PetaPixel branded stuff if you want it, the hoodie and 2 shirts, but we are evaluating how that went. We think it went well. I can say you'll probably see more drops from them soon.
I've got some depraved shirt ideas, guys. I'm going to pitch to
do
you
you?
after
He
this.
definitely hasn't shared those with me yet. I don't love the
kind of
description
don't want
of the
him
word
to
depraved.
share those with me.
That's a late night in a smoky Tokyo bar kind of conversation, the kind of stuff I've got percolating.
Wow.
Well, that sounds exciting, and by exciting, I mean frightening. Anyway, thank you all for supporting us with our PetaPixel memberships, and if you haven't joined, we'd really appreciate it if you did.
Plus, it just makes such good fiscal sense, you know?
If you had like studio lighting and a used camera from KEH and a filter wallet, you've saved hundreds of dollars with that little tiny PetaPixel
And
membership
you help us,
investment.
too. That's an important thing to
Yes.
point out. You help us, which we really need. Publishing is not what it used to be, so we could use your support. And with that,
To the news.
to the news, of which there was quite a bit. So, first story we're going to talk about today is a fun one. I wanted to start out kind of loose and fun.
Sure. Don't tell me this is going downhill.
Are we bringing back the tariff drum?
So, there aren't any, no. DIY, that we wrote, had a story last week where a person created the CAD files that you need to build your own one of these. It's a DIY project to turn a Panasonic GF3, I want you to tell me about this camera shortly, and a Soviet Fed 5 into a digital rangefinder at home. Chris, I don't know anything about a Panasonic GF3. Please tell me about it.
Oh, the GF3 was like a very sort of basic micro four thirds camera, 16 megapixels, no EVF, so destroy them.
It was super tiny. I
Yeah,
think that's the
super
appeal for this
tiny.
project.
Yeah,
Like the
very
lens
simple.
mount was quite a bit taller than the camera itself. So it kind of had a weird like bump on the top that was almost like a prism, but not quite.
Now, of course, 3D printing cameras has become quite a thing now. Jaron is a purveyor of many 3D printing
right over
cameras, because he loves his weird ultra wide format pano, waste all your money on film cameras. And but that's easy because you're basically making a box. This is something a little bit different. So the whole idea of this is the creators of this printing project wanted to create a digital rangefinder that would be more affordable than, admittedly, look at this rangefinder. We don't even need to talk about how much it cost you. It was ridiculous, but they're expensive. And so not everybody has an opportunity to get into that. So basically, though, what this entails is taking a Russian Fed 5 old school rangefinder, which will have a shutter mechanism. It has to be working, has to be functional. Then you take a also perfectly functional Panasonic GF3. You then destroy both cameras and use a 3D printed chassis to mishmash them in a Frankenstein manner together.
That sounds awesome.
And then with an adapter, you can even then mount let's say M rangefinder lenses or something like that. And then every time you take a shot, it will trigger the GF3. And I assume you rip the lens off this thing. I don't. It's wild. I don't know. It's crazy. But there you go. If you don't mind destroying two perfectly good cameras to create a Frankenstein camera of dubious quality, this is the project for you.
That sounds like what people like these days.
I know.
Of dubious quality is a plus.
Let's not forget there's a lot of M-mount glass that really supports a 4/3 size sensor as well. That 2x crop might be a sticky wicket with a rangefinder. But
get out of here with your logic and your
But it's going to have a crop factor. I mean, is it going to really... is it fun?
It's a fun idea. Stop it. Anyway, from there, we're going to talk about another. This is a weird one. So last week, speculators.
It's a rumor. This is a rumor. We're spreading rumors right now.
It's not even the normal rumors.
Yeah, this is
speculators have come out and believe that Nikon is entertaining the idea of selling to Essilor Luxottica.
Yes, one of the gigantic. Crazy companies that own so many optical brands, lots of sunglasses.
They're mainly known for sunglasses. Yeah. So if you go to
eyewear, prescription eyewear,
if you go to Target in the US, Target's optical center is an Essilor Luxottica.
If you own sunglasses, there's a 1 in 3 chance you've got Essilor Luxottica product.
Well, since I live in Portland, actually, all of my glasses and my insurance and my eyeglass place are all independent, so I don't have to deal with Essilor Luxottica.
Well, la-dee-da.
That's very Portland of us. But most people do, in fact, have to deal with Essilor Luxottica. At any rate, Nikon, just the news, the whisper of a rumor, of a thought that this might happen, sent Nikon's stock to the moon last week.
So I think we should address that there have been thoughts for years and years that Nikon is having issues fiscally and stuff, and that's been debunked, or it's been, it's been all over the place.
They do keep losing money, but if you look at their financials carefully, it's actually the imaging division is the only division that's doing well.
Right, exactly. But I believe Luxottica, Essilor has a part ownership, some stock.
They are an investor because Nikon makes glasses.
And I believe they also did the collaboration for the Nikon sunglasses and eyewear that they came out with as a line, which makes sense.
That's what I said.
No, but you also the ownership of the product.
Oh yeah,
ownership of the stock, but also a collaboration with the actual products. They've made products together. Is what I'm getting at.
I believe we've covered this in the past.
So
about how much they own.
There's obviously it's not just pulled out of thin air. There's precedent that it could be possible, but rumors.
So last September, we reported that Essilor Luxottica was considering doubling its investment in Nikon, which would take it from a 5.1% stake to a 10.2 to 11% stake. So this feels related to that.
Yeah.
Maybe they looked into it and decided, well, why would we just double our ownership stake if we could just take it? Now, here's the thing. I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit opinion.
I mean, Nikon Imaging, now they've acquired Red. That does make them a very important piece.
I do not like Essilor Luxottica.
Clearly.
I do not like their business strategy. I don't like that they are vertically integrated in eyewear, from the insurance to the place where you get your eyes checked to the people that sell you the glasses. I think that allows them to price fix. And they've also been known to bully brands that they want into selling to them. I believe they did that with Oakley. The story with Oakley, you should look this up if you're listening to this. The story, I believe it's Oakley.
And then they'd have Red back.
Yes.
Think about this. This is all a mad conspiracy to have Oakley and Red together under the same brand again.
Oh, man. So anyway, take this with a grain of salt.
That's the hot scoop.
I believe Nikon is majority owned by Mitsubishi, if I recall.
I believe that's right.
So there'd be a lot of hoops to jump through. Everyone would have to agree to it. I would think that if there's any of this that is true, I believe Essilor Luxottica will probably just buy the glasses segment. That's what I think they're.
Who knows? But it's an interesting thought process for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky for us because we've seen the last few years Nikon really rebounding in terms of the quality of their product. So it's difficult to keep hearing about like financial struggles and things like that. But yeah, I do think it's a good point Jaron made to emphasize, like the imaging is profitable at this point. So the work, what would be more disappointing is if all the work they're doing wasn't paying off in terms of sales. But it seems like that's not the case specifically in the photo side.
So this is an interesting story. Well, no, I mean, it's interesting. So first of all, what's actually interesting is that Sony is still making smartphones. That blows my mind. The Xperia line of smartphones, they have created their latest iteration of this. And you know what? I actually am kind of a proponent of Sony. I had an old Xperia. I really liked it.
Didn't you bend it?
It was very thin. Well, yeah, I would put it in my back pocket.
He just said it was very thin. That's
it was
the
very thin.
prelude
It was
to the
very
rest
thin.
of the story.
And I liked the form factor, and I would carry it in my pants pocket. And it, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have like a perfectly curved bum. Like it's beautiful.
I've seen it.
Yeah. And the phone basically.
No, I co-sign.
Thank you. And the phone basically conformed itself perfectly to the shape of my bum. And
it still worked, but
kind of, you could plug in the USB-A port, but it wouldn't quite connect to the power, so you'd then have to fold it over the screen.
Oh, I remember this.
And then you'd have to put like a chair or a table leg on top of that, pressing down, and then I think the contacts actually snapped, and if you folded them back down, they would just like connect, and then it would charge. So
I believe you were calling me an Apple sheeple with my iPhone the whole time. You were putting a chair.
As you're balancing.
Just because I've joined the cult does not mean that we belong to a cult. I mean, of course we do. So
that long intro tangent about Sony Xperia is Sony.
Oh yeah, right. There's a news story here.
They put it out on social. Here's the text of the tweet. The new AI camera assistant with Xperia intelligence brings stories to life using subjects seen in weather. It suggests expressive options with adjustments of color, exposure, bokeh, and lens for breathtaking photos.
Yeah.
Asterisk.
Well, there's 2 asterisks in here, but here's the thing. These photos that it supposedly made better are all worse. Like objectively worse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The flower in the vase, I'll give it a pass. But like, it's like
the sandwich.
The sandwich was terrible.
Is unacceptably
the
terrible.
Poor girl in the field.
Promise me this will be on screen for people watching.
I will put the sandwich on there. This is obviously this is bad.
Yeah, it's
and
bad.
Sony got absolutely shredded online for this.
I'm shocked that they even released these photos. Like
this is a very funny example. I'll put this on screen too. This is an exaggeration, but it's very funny.
But look, all the smartphone companies have these AI or machine learn whatever assistants, and they try to improve your photos. This is not only changing exposure, contrast, color. It is actually doing some generative AI as well, which we hate. Like the picture of the flower in the vase. Not only does it deepen the saturation and improve richness, but it gets rid of like a bright window in the background and basically paints it in with an out of focus wall. Fine, but I mean, I don't like it, but that's what, like a lot of companies do. So not only
does it look bad, but it's fake.
Exactly. Thank you, Jordan. But most of the time, it just raises the exposure about a stop and a half.
The midtones.
And blows saturation. Yeah.
So it's washed out. I keep looking at these and I think I know how to process that back to usable. Yeah. But that's my inclination.
If anybody has shot log in video and said, I prefer it ungraded, you're going to love this. This is perfect for you. This is exactly what
you overexpose to protect the shadows while shooting.
Well, that's what they apparently are
doing. That's
because all your photos come out overexposed.
In this flower one, it deletes a window and
that's what I'm saying. It deletes a window and a chair leg, and it puts a.
This one's very funny to me. How do we this is just not a good.
Yeah,
not
a good edit. The model was perfectly exposed,
and then they ruined it.
Yeah. Anyways, I mean, look, these things can be updated and
how
changed.
Did this get approved?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm concerned by. Is like what we're really saying is how did Sony let this get out?
Yeah,
with any sort of thought process that it would be received well.
Like 4 examples, and one of them, if you want to be argumentative, you could say was an improvement. But
yes, which I like.
The rest of them are all
The sandwich one is by far the worst.
Disquietingly bad.
Very good word. Yeah, I don't know how this got out there.
That's bad.
Sony sent they tweeted us like a follow-up later, clearly aware of the controversy and attempted to show that it's not actually doing that, but the fact that they had to address the problem publicly because it was so bad says a lot.
If the after photo was the before photo, then I'd be like, okay, that
incredible advertising.
Anyways, they're getting ripped apart. We're ripping them apart. It's sad because the Sony Xperia I think it's just amazing that they're still making those phones. I'm sure their market share is very small, but obviously Sony is a powerful company. They've got great sensor technology. They've got, good color now. Okay, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm looking at this article.
Yeah, you didn't love the magenta cast, right?
I've learned to live with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you learn to live with something, that is a form of love.
We're going to talk about this with Yuji-san. I really want to know what he thinks about this next story. But we get a lot. So here's the thing. Some might wonder why we report on how sales are going in Japan for any camera product at any point. And the answer to that is because it's a large market for the Japanese companies that they're physically in, and they pay attention to what's happening in their country when they do their focus groups and decide what they're going to make next.
Yeah, there's actually information, right?
So
as opposed to North America. So yeah, we're going to lean on the country that reports things.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. We don't get any information really out of any of the other dealers in North America or even Europe.
Sometimes we have the owner of the camera store on to talk about numbers, and then he gets in trouble, and then he's not on our show
It's
anymore.
apparently not allowed to do. But in Japan, these companies are very, very open about what sells well and what doesn't. So this information is valuable. So I think it's important to be out there as long as you understand the context. But to blatantly say it's not useful is, it's missing the point and choosing to miss that point. At any rate, in this story, Fujifilm's old XF35 1.4 is a very hot item.
Their oldest
still.
XF lens.
Yeah.
Think
So
about that.
can you tell me about this lens, Jordan? I've never used it.
It's legendary. It was launched alongside the X Pro 1, along with the 18, and the 60 millimeter macro. But those were all the first lenses for this mount. And it has developed a reputation as like a legendary, if you want a vintage aesthetic, but you still want autofocus. So many people are clamoring for this because it did have some optical deficiencies. That's why they later released a 33 mm 1.4, fixed all those. But this is still so popular. And it seems like if you're buying a Fujifilm because you're into a more retro look, this is the first lens that absolutely everyone buys.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it's so hot. You get an XE5, you're running out. You're getting yourself a 35 1.4.
Very popular.
Yeah, even with these latest bodies here, it does still, I think largely it's a reputation of just having a magical aesthetic to it.
Even I like it because, of course, obviously it's a 15 millimeter full frame field of view equivalent when you put on a Fujifilm camera. Like at 1.4, if I recall, is like, kind of like vintage glass that a lot of companies now are trying to replicate. It was a little bit glowy at 1.4, a little bit of flare perhaps. It's a cool lens. But
Chris, you said to me, it's not in your review of the 100 to 400, which might be out, might not be out.
You're talking the Sony 100.
The Sony, the new one.
Yeah.
Depends how editing goes this week.
4.5.
Yeah, it depends on when we're going to be able to publish this podcast. You mentioned that, I think your exact words were, "Oh, it's great. Of course, it's sharp." But then you also said, "But I'm kind of bored by sharp." And I think you also said...
I didn't say I'm bored by it.
Did you say in the last podcast that you would look forward to bad glass or something like that? Because
I don't think I said that, which means I probably did, but I don't think I said I don't find sharp glass is great. I said we're spoiled for sure. It's hard not to make a sharp lens now. It's become elementary.
That's exactly. So I was listening to that on the bus this morning. So Chris would be very excited to review a lens that wasn't sharp. And I think it was in terms of that we keep cutting to, a big part of our lens reviews or we zoom into the sharpness chart, and a lot of the first party lenses were like,
say that
center's great, corners are great, you zoom it in, center's great, stop it down, corner's great, wide open great.
Yeah, I think I was
we
implying,
do that a lot lately.
Yeah, I think I was implying that I'd be like shocked and amazed.
It would break up your daily routine to have a lens that's really soft.
We do endeavor to I use the word we do endeavor to use and review lenses now that are being made with more character, and the Light Lens Labs are a great example of that. The Omnar Bartellis are an example of that. Like these lenses that have flaws on purpose or keep them and maintain them because it's historically accurate to the original formulas, even to the point of using the same glass and stuff like that. We have another review coming out which will be similar in that regard. So it is fun to sometimes play with lenses that are not surgically precise and absolutely stone cold protected from flare and incredibly sharp all the way to the corners. It's nice to have that.
If you read the article here, it's actually a fun list. You can see 50 and 35 are still the kings.
Yeah.
And it's great for me to see after I said the Sony 55mm is a totally overrated lens. Great to see that right at the top there, so I can continue to be hated for holding this opinion.
That's
very important to me.
Sonar T-Star 55 f1.8ZA. Is that the one?
That's the one. Yeah. You know what? It's a sharp lens, but otherwise I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, why don't you like it?
Some of the worst Loca I've seen on a small. Is that it ruins photographs?
Just shoot black and white.
Weird flare patterns. I just don't like that lens very much.
Just shoot black and white.
That's the solution.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of leaning on the Sony side of that, let's talk about news that broke. Gosh, before we left for Osaka, but after we recorded the last podcast.
Yeah,
I call that the before times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were telling me about this on the train on the way to Omiya, and I was like, "What's a TSMC?"
Okay, so here's the news: Sony is on the early stages of a strategic partnership with TSMC, which is a large Chinese. Not censored typically. They'd usually do chip fabrication.
I'm going to try and come up with an abbreviation for this before the story's done. Okay, I'm going to check out for a little while. I'm going to try and come up with something.
They're going to develop next-gen image sensors in a newly built fabricator facility that will be located in Kyushu, Japan.
Totally solid microchips.
I'm sure they'd actually be okay with that. The thing is, Sony is kind of shifting its business. This is the second move that it's done in the last several months where they're moving away from manufacturing things and being more focused on the technology and the intellectual property. The first thing they did is they took the Bravia line of televisions and are now manufacturing them with TCL. TCL is a fantastic television manufacturer, by the way. Now, their facilities are top of the line, so was a great partner choice. But Sony's not making them themselves anymore. Now, what this looks like is they're probably not going to make their sensors, or at least some of them, themselves anymore either. They're going to work with TSMC, so Sony's going to be they take on a lot of the burden of the investment, but they are only doing really the IP and the design, while TSMC fabricates and manages that. But it's also going to be based in Japan, so that's kind of good for the country, continuing for people to have work here. It's just an interesting move for Sony, and I don't know that TSMC currently fabs sensors. They might, but it's not like their biggest business. TSMC makes chips for phones and computers.
Yeah, you're saying processing units and stuff
Totally
like that.
solid microchips.
Yeah, they make totally solid microchips, Jordan. I don't know if I have anything to add to this. I just think it's interesting. They're not quite done finalizing the agreement. They need to get funding. The country of Japan will also provide funding for this too, because they're bringing work into the country. So that's neat. It's interesting to see Sony's business choices.
I want to go see the factory because I've always wanted to go to Kyushu and I haven't been to Kyushu. So let's.
Very warm.
All of Japan is very warm, to be honest with you. At this time of year, I don't know if there's anywhere that's not.
So there you go. So what Sony's chief executive officer, Hiroki Totoki, said was, the joint venture with TSMC will be our first step to becoming Fab Light. Until now, we've handled everything in-house, from R&D and to manufacturing, but going forward, we hope to advance manufacturing not only on our own, but also by bringing in partners. And so this will probably be just the second of many more steps of Sony's shift in reducing the burden of manufacturing. Let's talk Lumix L10.
We have to.
Chris and I talked about that camera a whole heck of a lot. In fact, for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Jordan,
Yes.
would you like to talk about the L10?
Well, it's been a roller coaster for me this week, Jaron, because going way back, early in on the podcast, I was like, why don't they just do an LX100? They don't have to develop anything new. Just do all the stuff that they've developed in the last 8 years since that camera came out. They've got phase detect now. They've got better batteries now. The displays on them, they've got this 25 megapixel sensor that would be fantastic. All of those things have come out. And then we saw the Deluxe 8, which kind of made me think it's definitely not happening, because it was Leica's recycling of the LX100 too.
Yeah.
And I was just like, if there's something coming around the corner shortly, they're not going to release this right before. But they did. They did release an LX100 II right before essentially an LX100 III came out. And just looking at the features on it, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I've been asking for the longest time.
On the L10.
On the L10.
Because, the Deluxe 8 was largely a remake, right? A very minor update. We should point that out.
So we see this question a lot in the comments, and I purposely am not answering them because I'm hoping people will go and actually find out why we didn't compare this to the Deluxe 8. It's because we did compare it to the Deluxe 8. Because the Deluxe 8 is an LX100 Mark II.
Yeah.
There's no reason to separate those. It's the same camera.
Basically the same chassis, the same lens assembly.
It's the same camera.
It's a different menu and interface, so it's more like a Q or some of the modern bodies. But other than that, in terms of the overall camera,
I don't know why I'm saying it on the podcast. All of you listening to the podcast already know that. You guys are the ones who pay attention. It's the other ones who are like, why didn't you compare?
Well, that's why you got to get your friends to listen to this podcast.
That's right. Damn it. Tell them when someone says, why didn't they compare it to the Deluxe 8? You say, because they did.
Well, it's not an LX100 III. Like, if they named it that, I feel like it was being appropriate. When they first came out and they were like, oh, the L10 is going to be the new name, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. But it is actually, in a lot of ways, a very different camera. And I think we have to establish
the body size specifically.
Yeah, and so the body size has gotten significantly larger. And I think the important thing to understand about that, it's necessary because the new chip, the new 25 megapixel sensor in there, great sensor, but it has higher power demands. And you've also got a new processing engine. So to power all that, you need a new battery, right? Like you can't just use the old guts from the LX100, nor would we want them to. New EVF design, right?
And that OLED does have a power draw.
100%.
It's the combination of the processor, the OLED viewfinder, and the sensor. The voltage of the last battery was too low. It's mainly the sensor really needed more voltage.
Yeah.
They confirmed that to us. So that's why that battery's in there.
Yeah.
And that's also why the battery in the A7R6 got bigger, because that sensor's voltage requirements increased.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that you've been getting much better battery life. You just need the extra power to make everything work. And so that's a big part of why this camera has physically become larger. But what is basically borrowed from it is a very similar front end lens assembly, effectively the same lens. Again, they said they've updated it. They do recognize that they had issues with dust and stuff.
I want to shoot the two side by side, even though the review is out. I think that would be really interesting to see if the lens actually is improved on it.
Who knows? I mean, like you are getting more megapixels out of it, so it makes sense that you would have to have the lens maybe be updated, or maybe when they say updated, they mean not have so much dust and schmutz get in there and white flakes come off and stuff.
That's the thing. It's so hard for us to test that.
I'm not going to rub it in the dirt or anything to find out.
It's really you just have to ask people
6
after
months
it
from
comes
now.
out. Yeah.
Put it in your pocket a lot. Let the lint get all over.
There's a reason for forums, it turns out.
Great. Chris, you just said put it in your pocket a lot.
Well, you can't put it in your pocket.
I sort of challenge you to do that. I mean, maybe
your pants right now, you could put it in your cargo shorts, no problem.
Yeah.
I told you we shouldn't have had the table here so people can see what pants and shorts
I don't mind the larger size, and I get that the LX100 is a cool camera because it's small, but I think, there's reasons why they had to go bigger. But I don't mind the larger size. It does make it feel very sort of X100-ish. It makes it feel, like a over your shoulder travel companion camera. Yeah. And I like the control surfaces. I find the camera very customizable. They made quite a few changes to the actual control scheme over the LX100. So it's a different camera that just happens to be using the same gimmick as the LX100.
Right, but it serves the same function as the LX100. And that's
premium compact camera.
This is why I touched on my roller coaster ride, because I didn't know what it was going to be. They announced it. I said, hot damn, that sounds like the best thing ever. Everyone's going to watch that video. I was right about that. Yeah. Then I watched Chris's video, and I was like, oh, man, maybe does this bum me out? Is this actually not what I want? And then I thought about it a little bit, and most of the concerns that Chris had about it aren't going to personally affect the things that excite me about this camera. Yes, it is physically larger, but you know what drove me crazy with the previous version was
your giant hands?
The terrible EVF.
The field sequential EVFs.
Would I trade that for a bigger camera? Yeah, unquestionably. The battery life wasn't very good. You know what? I'll take a little bigger body. Yeah, for excellent battery life.
The battery life is very good.
Yeah.
And then the other big thing that drove me crazy when it came out, I was like, this could be the perfect B-roll camera, but it's got this huge crop in 4K mode that makes it basically unusable. That combined with the lens-based only stabilization. Still lens-based only, but having the full width of the sensor, all the record modes, log recording. Like, no, it doesn't have a headphone jack, but I would just use this for capturing images. Like, this makes so much sense for me. It still has a filter thread. I think the LX100 II is probably one of the best time-lapse cameras ever made. This is still going to let you shoot full raw time lapses, build them in camera for you, and you can set them up with a fully articulating screen. This thing rules. I want this thing. So I'm looking forward to playing with it. I'm the only person at this table who hasn't used one yet. But I think, like, yeah, this seems like a camera that would bring me endless, bountiful joy. So that's where I'm at.
I don't know, and I'm not saying it wouldn't. I feel, though, like there's something about it that might not. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not wild about the power zoom, but there's really, unless you beef this lens up a lot, really not an alternative. So I understand that compromise. Other than that, it just seems like a lot of decisions that we've been saying, why won't someone make a camera like this? They made a camera like this. So now I feel like we should just shoot off confetti into the sky.
The obvious draw, I think, with the L10, and I think it does make sense. You know, they're reusing a lens assembly and the whole gimmick about that. But what is interesting about this is now we have a platform built. It's a nice body. It handles well. It's got a bigger battery in it. It's got a new processor in it. So really, you know, and it's got a good chip in it. It's got the GH7 sensor right there. So what this really and an EVF. So what it really makes you think is, well, okay, will then the next version just remove this lens assembly and give us a Micro Four Thirds lens mount?
That'd be great.
Because then that would make tons of sense, right? It would kind of be GX9-ish. You know, it'd be this like larger than a GM.
If that viewfinder tilts a little bit, like the GX9.
They're not going to make the viewfinder tilt.
Oh, please make it tilt.
I never cared about the tilt anyways, but that could be cool because what's strange is the demand worldwide for Panasonic or Olympus or Home System, to make a compact interchangeable lens camera. That demand is so huge. That's the reason why the L10 is getting as much attention as it is right now, even though it's not an interchangeable lens. And from an engineering standpoint, I can't see it being very difficult to just take that lens assembly and give us a Micro Four Thirds lens mount.
There is something I want to point out that might actually make that difficult, and I don't know if Lumix is willing to make the compromises that they would in order to do this, which makes this camera all the more impressive to me. I'm holding an X100 VI. This body, I was told, would need to get thicker to accommodate in-body image stabilization.
Sure.
Which Lumix is not gonna not do. They're gonna put image stabilization.
Oh, if it's interchangeable lenses, it would have to.
So,
right.
But the thing is, then I feel like they feel as though they'll run out of room.
Maybe, but look,
because they put the viewfinder on there, and then they've got that in there, and then it'll be thicker. So, like, when we look at the S9, that has IBIS in it.
Sure.
But it didn't have the viewfinder, and I'm wondering if that's because they ran out of room.
Yeah, they said it was packed all to the nines.
Right, which is why this existing, and again, I'm holding the X100 VI, that should continue to impress you.
Yeah.
Because it has it, and it has a viewfinder. And then the XE5 does the same thing.
Yeah.
So how come Lumix can't?
I mean, honestly, I think Fujifilm should have put an EVF in the XE5, and that would have been an amazing camera, and I would have been super happy.
Is there not an EVF on the
There's an EVF
Oh, sorry,
in the
no, I'm
XE5.
not. Sorry, XM5. On the XM5. XM5. XE5 is great. IBIS would be great. Obviously, I love having IBIS.
They're not going to release a camera without it.
Well, it's not as big a deal to photographers as long as you have image stabilization in the lenses, right? The greatest camera of all time is the Panasonic GM5. It does not have IBIS. It's all based on lens image stabilization, and a lot of Micro Four Thirds lenses happen to have image stabilizers.
I'm telling you, I agree with you. I'm saying
IBIS would be great for video users, but video users,
Lumix won't do it. I'm telling you that Lumix would feel like feel like that's something they can't do, is release an interchangeable lens camera without IBIS.
We don't know.
Because you're already seeing...
It's been a decade.
Since they did that?
Since they did that.
Yeah, and I think that they feel as though they would not be holding true to what people expect of them if they don't put IBIS and they don't put the video record.
Maybe this slightly larger body that still has a small 4/3 sensor assembly can then support IBIS and just take off the front of the lens. Maybe it's possible.
I would go ahead and say the monkey's paw curls and says yes, but the EVF disappears.
You better not. Anyway, I
Then
mean,
that's just the S9.
yeah, exactly. I mean, again, this also makes you think, oh, is the S9 II, whenever it comes out, going to have an EVF? That would be great. Who
That
knows?
would be
We'll see.
very great. And
Yeah.
maybe a functioning shoe as well, right? A hot shoe?
Yeah, I think Panasonic has learned their lesson. That cold shoe is a bad idea and everybody hated it. And they probably won't do that again until they realize that it's too expensive to do it again. But who knows? What do I know? But anyways,
So just a couple things. I do want to say, it is great to have now a test bed for the small camera with a lot of the modern features that we've been asking for.
Yeah.
I really hope that the excitement that we saw online for this, the number of people watching videos, reading reviews, all that kind of stuff, does translate into some success for Panasonic, because I know it's been a rough stretch for them. If this does well, that gives them a we should really look at doing some photography first stuff again, or emphasize some compact things. This is a great way to actually send a message after years of being like, Panasonic, you're on the wrong track. You're just catering to videographers.
They listened.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's nice that they listened.
The Sony, their enthusiast camera, our bread, the people who watch this show, that is a camera they should be losing their minds over. Just got the A7R6 got steamrolled in terms of views by this compact Panasonic, because there is just a dearth of cameras like that out there. So hopefully this leads to some change in the industry where everybody's like, oh yeah, maybe we should try doing something like that.
I'm sure this camera will do very well. Everybody who's used it, I feel like we did a pretty objective review on it, but still, it's despite some of its flaws, it's still a really enjoyable camera. I really like using it. And so I think Panasonic's probably going to do really well with this.
So one last thing I want to mention, and I feel like maybe some people don't know why they did it this way. This special edition version, this
is kind of sad.
Champagne.
It is champagne.
It has stuff on there that you're just
dead in the grave before I call it titanium gold.
It is nice that these things are on here. So for the extra $100, the auto cap is great.
Oh yeah.
The gold menu is actually my favorite feature. I think it's way prettier.
The gold menu's hot.
It's really good.
It's really nice. Threaded shutter for
the threaded shutter for soft release is fine.
People want that.
I have the strap.
The strap can burn in hell. I don't care. But
I'm not super into the strap. I like straps personally. This one's okay. Whatever.
Small Rig's already made an additional grip and thumb.
I want to make it clear that the grip and the thumb rest don't come. No. You have to buy that separately.
Yeah.
But all this aside, you can only get this directly from Lumix.
Yeah.
Dealers only get the other ones that nobody's actually seen, because every single person who's got this camera got the champagne
one.
Yeah.
So when you're saying you think they're going to sell
kind of a slap in the face for dealers. Yeah.
Yeah. Lumix wants to hold on to as much of the profit margin as they can. As a business, totally get it. But dealers probably are not happy.
Not super happy.
Because they're going to sell a bunch of these. It's not limited. It's a special edition. So they're going to keep making it. It'll be ready. It'll be available forever. So if you're willing to wait a little bit longer, maybe, because they might not have as many, and they're going to sell out of them constantly.
The $100 premium is so small.
Unless you really like black, or you really like silver, or you don't care about an auto cap. I don't love the auto cap.
Let's forget North Americans only buy black cameras,
you're right.
so they're going to be fine.
Yeah. And maybe you don't want a threaded shutter.
Yeah.
So who cares?
You don't like a beauty, fellow North Americans?
But you're just not saving that much money.
Yeah.
Jordan, so when I'm in my very short video section where I did my best impression of you, my conclusion where you would want to use it the same way you use an X106 as a
B-roll camera. Yeah, I would
exactly what you'd say.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd never use it as a primary camera, but to have full vlog, so it'll match perfectly with my big old cameras.
Yeah.
With a zoom lens on it. Yeah, something really small like that. I mean, this is just a phenomenal little B-roll cam. It can still shoot 60 and 120 frames. You can just run around, shoot birds just flying around in slow motion without a crop.
At 75 at 75
what an incredible
millimeters.
Camera we should all be losing our minds for and lining up for pre-orders right now. This thing is hot, people.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna have to get one, because I don't know if you don't want mine. I offered and you're like, no, I want my own.
No, I don't want to take your camera from you. Okay. But this does seem like something that would rock the house.
Great. All right, so we're going to transition to an interview with Yuji Igarashi of Fujifilm. We're going to bring him in and chit-chat with him, and then we'll come back and do a feel-good story of the week. So we'll see you in just a second.
All right, so now we are joined by Yuji Igarashi-san, and this is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yuji's going to explain a lot about Fujifilm's sort of thought process and design process when it comes to lenses and optics. And so, yeah, thank you again for joining us.
Yuji-san, what is your title here? So everyone knows what you do here at Fujifilm.
Okay, I'm Yuji Igarashi. Hi, everyone. My title is General Manager of Professional Imaging Products of the Imaging Solutions Division. Quite long.
So very important.
So, Yuji, we really want to talk to you about the amazing optics behind Fujifilm. Why don't we just get started right into it? And,
Sure.
and also about just how you're dealing with the viewers and the fans and the people that are using your products. I think it's really important, so we want to cover that too. But so let's talk about an event, actually, the recent Focus on Glass event. This is relatively unusual. You don't see this very often in the industry. Can you explain Fujifilm's thought process behind this event, whether you think that it worked out well? Is it something that you would do again?
All right. Yeah. Thanks for the question. The first question. So yes, about lens, we pride ourselves in manufacturing lenses. We've done that for over 80 years. But I think lens is quite difficult because many features you cannot really quantify, right? So you have, you have like the bright F number, and you have resolution. But you have also like a chromatic aberration. You have many things, distortion you have to think about. And it's difficult to convey how we care about our lenses, our philosophy behind it. So we thought we should, try something new to communicate to our users. And so this is why we came up with a focus on lens idea. Yeah. And your second question, whether we do it again.
Yeah.
I think we could maybe with a lens or with other products, because I think the feedback was very helpful for us, and it was very exciting for us as well.
Fantastic.
Would you consider it a success? Would you say that event was successful?
I think so, considering that we've never done it in the past, and we didn't know whether people would provide us feedback and asking for vote. And if we didn't get any vote, that would have been quite sad.
I think it's useful to maybe give a little context in case people don't have a background on this. So essentially, Fujifilm just said, here are a variety of lens proposals, essentially. What of these do you think are the most exciting? Which is definitely a completely different way of kind of promoting and then also getting feedback from the photography users. I just want to make sure that the listeners know what's going on.
That's what Focus on Glass was. What was the one that got the most votes?
So that was, the ones which we kind of thought it was going to get the most votes, because it was the 16 to 80 millimeter f2.8 throughout.
Right.
And so, we already have our popular 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8. And basically that's an extension of that with the same aperture, right? So we thought it was going to be quite popular.
I thought it was great. I think that was the one I was hoping you would make the most as well. As a side question on that, when you saw the results, were you surprised by them, or did you sort of do an internal vote as well to see what the engineers thought would be ideal?
Yeah, some were surprising, some were not. Like, the lens I just mentioned, that wasn't a surprise.
Yeah.
Nor was like the, let's say, 18 to 50 millimeter f1.4. That's also a bright lens, and we thought it was going to be popular.
Yeah, really ambitious, attention grabbing.
Yes. So the one thing which surprised us was the dual focal lens, which came from this idea from the compact camera.
Yeah.
Which had like a dual focal lens, which is a 28 millimeter and 45 millimeter, called Travel Mini, and so. Yukitaka, who's a product planner of the optical lenses, he knew about this camera. And so he thought it would be interesting to do a similar thing with a lens.
Right.
And so we thought it was interesting, but we didn't expect that to come into third place.
Right. Yeah, I was just playing with a Tri-Elmar, like an M mount where you could click between it. And it's a very different experience having primes that you're cycling through on the one optic. So I can see there so much of this, it's a balancing act, I'm sure, between photographers saying what was something I would use the most as opposed to what's something I still haven't experienced yet. I think it's a fun balancing act between those.
Yeah. It's interesting too. You don't often get to hear from the optical engineers. So this was a neat event. They actually got to have this feedback. So how did you even come up with this idea, and how excited were the optical engineers? I mean, as you say, Yukitaka Takeshita and Yuma Miyauchi. How did you get them to participate? How were they excited to participate in this event?
So we thought about having a communication with the end users. When we talk about the lens, we thought it would be great to get feedback from them, and we usually don't. So we thought about it internally, and we thought, how about proposing our lens idea for the future? Then this might trigger people to communicate to us, back to us. And so that's how we came up with this idea. And both of Yukitaka and Yuma, they're actually product on the product planning team. So R&D and product planning team, they're like two separate teams, although they communicate a lot. But they were really excited because you've probably seen many of our videos, and we try to put a face on each product. So when we talk about new lenses, we have our engineers talk about it. When we talk about marketing, we have our marketing people talk about it. So they're kind of used to explaining about the lens which are being announced, but they've never expressed themselves talking about their dream lenses. So they were really excited that is this really happening? So yeah, that was great.
Very cool. Given that all the concepts had at least some details, including potential size, weight ranges for these lenses, it seems that some serious thought went into these ideas. They weren't just sort of a dream idea, but that actually there was some planning involved in how you're going to realistically do this. Can you share more about the behind-the-scenes process for creating these concepts and these ideas? How many people were involved? Did it take a long time?
So, of course, we didn't think, just didn't make up these lenses. We usually communicate quite a lot. So the R&D team and the product planning team, we talk all the time. And so we already had a lot of ideas. So for us, it was actually more difficult to narrow down the numbers. So initially we had over 40 lenses, 40. And then we were like, hey, this is too many. We're never going to go through this. Right? So we're like,
everything's going to get 5 to 6% of the
So let's narrow down. It'll be diverse enough. So that was actually the difficult part.
So there's plenty of opportunity to do this again. It sounds like in the future. Yeah. Oh, very interesting. It's also interesting that Fujifilm opened up voting for its fans to share the voices on the proposed lens concepts. Of course, we thought that was really cool. We've never seen really that before. We really enjoyed seeing all the different lenses. We all had our own ideas of what we thought would be exciting. Everyone on the team was sort of thinking about their favorites. And it was interesting to see the difference. Some are similar, but we all kind of went our own directions. Was there any concept that you had that surprised you, or is that your personal favorite idea that's come through?
Yeah, so the travel mini concept, like I mentioned, that was surprising, but also very interesting. The reason why it was interesting is because we have a product planning team for both lenses and the cameras, and this idea, even though this came from the lens group, from Yukitaka's team, but we actually had a similar idea from the camera side as well. So we were like, this similar idea came up from the camera team and the lens team. So I thought it was really interesting. Although this program was specifically, talking about lens, so we didn't mention about, the camera side, but that's actually, that this kind of idea came up from both sides.
Do you have a personal favorite out of the list that you want to see come true?
Yeah, I would love to see that dual focal lens. Yeah.
So you were surprised that it was popular, but it was also one that you liked.
Yes, I like it, but I didn't
You
think
like an underdog.
I didn't think it was going to be the choice. Well, it was the third choice, but yeah, I thought it was going to be maybe like the 6th or 7th. Yeah.
I'm curious because there was some really cutting edge optics in there alongside very traditional, like brass or manual focus and stuff like that. Yes. Would you say that there was kind of a split in terms of which groups were interested in going more traditional versus more modern? Were there lens engineers who are more fixated on the past or the future, respectively?
Yes, I think that's the very good question. There are many people, involved, and so there are a lot of favorites, depending on who we talk to. So yeah, for me, manual, lens is also very interesting, and so yeah, I think it depends, and I'm very happy that we have this, diverse ideas.
Right.
You've made spectacular manual lenses before that I love.
Yeah.
For those inside here, I've talked to Yuji-san about this camera at least 3 times, and he's like, the look I'm getting is like, yes, I know you like.
Jared talks to everybody about the TS1. So every single person he sees on the
I
street.
want to see it again.
Oh. Now, of course, here's a difficult question. I mean, this is a very exciting project. You're getting all this feedback, but then that puts pressure on. Do we then go forward to make it? I know you can't talk too much about, how real these things are, or if they will happen, or when they will happen, really. But the winning idea, 16 to 80 f2.8, seems very popular. Seems very, maybe from a layman's standpoint, possible, realistic, and it seems like a generally good idea. So I know you can't comment on it too much, but is there anything you can share to us about a concept like that, 16 to 80 f2.8, whether this is something Fujifilm will be interested in exploring? Could it be a possible reality?
Yes, I think it is possible. If you look at the candidate, I think we mentioned the weight will be around between like 400 to 500, right? So we already have the same focal lens, but with f4, and that is 440 grams. So the reason why we had the weight specifically in there is so that people can imagine that lens size is going to be similar to, the lens we already have. And so I think that's the difficult part. Can we make it small enough? Right. So we can make the lens bright, but then, would people buy into it if it's too big? So I think technically it's possible. Have we come to, a level where we can launch immediately? Probably not. But, I think it's a matter of time because, the lenses are getting brighter and we have more technology. So I think hopefully we'll see that one day.
So I kind of have a follow-up on that then. So when you launched the X106 at the event in Tokyo, like when everything was done or whatever, there was a section off to the side.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got some ideas. Do you guys like these ideas? So to me, that felt like kind of like a similar event to what you did with Focus on Glass, but smaller to just the Fujifilm people and media. And the discussion was like, do you want a lens like this interchangeable? And everyone was like, yeah, we really want that. So obviously that came with the XE5. Had you already sort of decided you were going to make that? Or did you only start working on it after the response was so overwhelmingly positive at that event? If you can't answer that question, I understand, but I want to ask it.
Yeah, sure. That's your job. So that's all right.
That wasn't on the list of questions that we originally had.
I know. So I will say it was among the candidates. And for us, it was a matter of priority because we knew we had more opportunity with the pancake lenses. And so we thought it would be a good idea. And then we also wanted to, check that. Yeah.
Okay. That actually was a very telling answer. Appreciate it.
So, of course, we've discussed how this new travel mini concept would be very popular. The public liked it. You personally liked the idea. So that sounds like a great target to go for. What do you think would be some of the challenges specifically in making something like that come true?
Yeah, I think this also, it's a matter of size and also image quality because I think this travel mini, the 28mm lens was a good image, good quality, but 45 was probably not. Yeah, and so to make sure, both focal lens have a good image quality and also the right size, I think that's very important. So I think if you want to come up with this kind of a compact camera with like a really gimmicky, function, I think it's possible because if you don't care about the quality itself, I think you can do it. Yeah. So I think it's a matter of providing value to the end users, whether it's, really going to be attractive enough for people who want to carry the camera and they have to rely on 2 focal lens and, would that satisfy those people? That's the important thing.
I think on the topic of the twin lens, it's interesting because Fujifilm is one of the companies where the lens is actually a really important part of a lot of the other cameras. There are fixed lens cameras. The X100 is very famous, then the GFX, the X-Half. When you hear people's excitement for some of these optics, are the camera people also maybe just checking in and seeing if there's any interest in seeing some of those built onto a fixed lens compact or larger camera, anything like that?
Yes. Of course, developers are different, but product planning team is one, and marketing is one as well. So we all talk to each other, and we're both interested. We have to be interested in both to come up with a complete system. So
This camera with that twins lens would be hot.
yes, I think that would be exciting, I think.
Well, that kind of leads me to the next question because, there were so many different ideas presented in this event. Manual focus lenses, brass finish lenses, twin lenses, ultra bright lenses. It really covered a lot. In your opinion, going forward with the product planning, what do you think would be kind of the most needed lens right now in the X lineup? Where do you think is a gap that needs to be filled?
I think we have more space to grow on the telephoto side. We started with 3 primes for X Pro 1, and we've built a lot of primes, which we're proud of. Right. And also we have, started with a rangefinder style camera. And so that's the direction we went initially. And then we went into center finder style with more telephoto, with a bigger grip. So I think that's still, there are areas which we can grow on the telephoto side.
I mean, I guess if we open it up to, telephoto lenses, maybe even camera design, where do you think your weakest link is? And what do you think Fujifilm does the strongest right now?
So you're talking about the lens?
Lens or body? I'm interested in either one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that's the same thing, right? More on the telephoto side is what we still have room to grow, I think. Yeah, so that's the weakest, I would say.
What do you think Fujifilm is doing strongest right now?
Strongest is with maybe the combination of the rangefinder style with the primes. That's for sure. Probably when people think about Fujifilm, that's maybe what they would imagine.
It's an interesting family, the X series. It spans now 15 years. It's been around for quite a long time now. That's not necessarily the longest time, but in the photo industry, it's changed so much in that period, right? We've seen so much growth. What do you think are the biggest changes in the industry since, say, the X Pro 1 in 2012? How has that really changed? How has that really, affected the business? How does Fujifilm's latest X series lenses reflect those changing market demands? And how do you think the current generation of photographers are going to capture photo and video now?
Right. So many questions. I don't know. Answering everything, but let's go one by one. But yes, the biggest change is X Pro 1 is a mirrorless camera. At that time, DSLR was the mainstream. So probably that time, 80% of the cameras shipped were still DSLRs. Now, 90% is mirrorless. Yeah. So that change is probably the biggest. And it's not only, the difference between mirrorless and DSLR, but it's more about the technology. So once it became a mirrorless camera, it became an electronic product, which means, this led to a camera becoming like a video recorder as well, right? So now we have a hybrid system. Most of the cameras shoot stills and video, and that like a hybrid setting. And that's because I think, it's shifted to mirrorless. So that's the biggest change which has happened. And so also our lenses now, when we make like a version 2 for the lenses or the new lenses, we all make sure that it's also good for video shooting as well. So that's how the industry has changed and how our lenses has that shifted as well.
If I could piggyback on the video side of things, then I'm really curious because historically, when you're looking at cinema lenses or broadcast lenses, they've been a unique mount, right? They're going on PL mount or they're going on ENG cameras, things like that. But recently, we've started to see those designed natively in Fujifilm's own lens mounts, like we have now. The GF, I think it's a 3290 was the latest one, and then the MK series, which I adore, one of which is actually filming us right now, the 18 to 55. Is there a collaboration between the consumer imaging, the camera manufacturers, and the people making XF lenses and the cinema division, or is that cinema designing it and just putting it in an available Fujifilm mount?
To answer your question, it is one team.
Okay.
So the professional imaging group, which I oversee, that includes both digital cameras and cinema lenses and broadcast lenses. And so, but in the past, we did not have a camera, the Eterna, to go with it. So when we were building lenses, it was more broadcast lenses, was for the broadcasting industry, and we focus on producing lenses. And now we have, of course, we have MKs and Premistas and other lenses, but we were thinking about lenses first. But now we can think about what can we add to Eterna, what can we put, not only Eterna, but also including GFX, that is also become like a hybrid system.
Right.
So the more cameras shooting videos we have, we have to, and we are thinking about lens together with the camera.
Right.
So, and also the industry between cinema and broadcast is also, there's an overlap more and more now that broadcast industry also wants to shoot more like a cinematic footage, and those businesses also not combining, exactly, but there is a lot of overlap.
Could you see something like that expanding in the XF mount? Because currently those MK lenses they're gorgeous, but they're manual focus lenses. They feel very much like a classic one, where when we looked at the latest GF stuff, it's got autofocus. It's got a little mechanical coupler. Are we going to keep seeing these lenses designed with more of that emphasis on being able to tackle two tasks?
Yes, so yes, definitely. And we can't be specific about what, but
of course,
yes, but you're right. We need ideally that each mount and maybe including the PLs and everything would work together, and so that there will be more choices which lenses and which camera system to use.
So I guess that would lead me to a question then that I'd love to ask you personally is just you've seen this change in the market. Mirrorless has taken over. Video has become a very important thing for a lot of your users. I feel, of course, you're always going to have the user who loves the compact, stylish camera. I mean, that is, as you say, a strength of the company. And GFX we have now as well. Where do you think now, with all this feedback that's come back from your users and lenses and directions they want to go, where do you think users want to see Fujifilm grow from here?
Yes, actually, your final questions also triggered me to mention one more thing, that while the cameras became more hybrid, I think I have to also mention that because of that, many people also became more interested in photocentric camera as well, right? So that's another, stream. So I wouldn't say everybody, moved to hybrid.
Yeah.
So that's also very important. So I don't think there's like a one straight direction we want to go. We want to continue to evolve in this industry, and there are many ways to do that. And we don't want to forget about our heritage of knowing photography. So that's also a very important thing. And so how can we make people excited about photography? That's a very big theme for Fujifilm. And also the like the video side and stills, those kind of like a, technological development. That's very important. But also not forgetting about our heritage, about photography, the culture, how to preserve that or to expand it. That's also very important as well.
Well, as a photographer, I find that answer very exciting.
Yeah, there are a lot of
folks that read PetaPixel, who watch our channel, who care about our reviews, that say they want cameras to focus on being just photo cameras. Like, not every camera needs to be a hybrid camera. And that was something that like we tried to express to like Nikon, because when they did the Z6 III, they didn't bring the Z7 with it. And because that higher resolution, I guess they decided it would be either redundant with the Z8, or they just didn't want to make a photo-centric camera, perhaps because they didn't think that people would want to buy it. But I think that many people should reconsider. Even though you can shoot video with an X100, this is my photo camera. And I reach for this to take pictures. I don't think I've personally, I know you like it for video on occasion, but I don't think I've ever turned the video function on this camera on. And I don't think I have any intention to. I think it's okay for cameras to specialize. We went to this whole kind of like Swiss Army knife idea with every camera needed to do everything. And I think that people were competing a lot, trying to make every camera do everything. I never got that sense from Fujifilm. I think you guys stayed the course on making cameras for specific tasks, or better at specific tasks. Is that fair to say that you think things that way, or am I off?
No, I think you're right. That's why we have a different series for, the X series as well. The cameras like XE series, or, the XTs and X Pros and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's a good philosophy, and I think there are a lot of people who appreciate that. Some of them are under the misinformed idea that you could take video features out and it would make the camera cheaper. It doesn't really work that way, but at least creating a camera experience that caters to a photographer is nice.
Well, thank you so much for giving us your time. Yeah, we really appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to Yuji for sitting with us and chit-chatting. We don't really get to talk to him very much on camera, and it was nice to talk about lenses as well, especially since it seems like that's something that's really important to them right now.
Yeah,
so
we appreciate his insight. I still wish we had time to do tech support. Am I the only one that cares about tech support?
No, I care about tech support, but in this case, we don't have the time for it. So what we're going to do is go into the feel-good story of the week. This is a camera rig that we
This
covered.
isn't feel good. This is a feel badass story of the
I
week.
feel badass.
This is a wild camera rig that turns you into a robo-photographer. Jordan, do you need this?
So one of the punchlines about like 15 years ago when we made a stupid commercial for the camera store, which was a war scene using cameras, the very end of it, a dude walked out wearing a GlideCam X10 rig with a camera and a super telephoto on it. And I'm feeling a little nostalgic right now.
Like a giant. I mean, we did this first. We did this first a long time ago, but hey, it's cool.
But did you wear sunglasses and mount it to football pads?
He was wearing sunglasses, I believe.
Yes, he
we
was
were
wearing
going for
sunglasses,
Terminator
and
vibe.
he's South African, and he's a bigger dude.
It was Brent Taylor. He's on
Brent
YouTube.
Taylor. He's a sweetheart, but he looked like somebody out of a Stallone movie, a villain out of a Stallone movie. He did a great job. I mean, but you also have the camera on the shoulder. Like this it's not RoboCop. Is it Colonial Space Marine? Or it's kind of giving me Predator vibes. Like this is a photographer.
I love that he's got like the rig on the side.
The stabilizing.
hilarious.
Yeah, again, just like that X10.
Yeah.
Incredible.
With an exoskeleton of some sort.
It's so awesome and stupid. I love it. So there you go.
There you go. This is the future, people. I'm sorry.
It will make you undateable.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on the PetaPixel Podcast this week. Thanks to Fujifilm for letting us sit in this studio and do this and giving us a chance to talk to Yuji. And thank you to those of you who are supporting us with the PetaPixel membership. We appreciate it. Again, new perk.
New perk.
Appreciate it. To Westcott for giving everyone who's a member access to that. And
Nice.
So we will be back on our regular schedule next week. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I don't think there's anything on the schedule that would hurt that.
No, we're going to do our job regular next week.
We'll see.
Normal schedule next week. So we will see you then. Have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.